right, everybody, welcome back to the Better on Paper podcast. This is the Tuesday after Super Bowl 56, and I absolutely hate to say it, but the Rams are Super Bowl champions. This sucks.
TC3 was right.
It was a good game. I mean, it was a good Super Bowl. I thought it was a good game. It was a good halftime show. I mean, I don't think there's a lot to complain about. I mean, you can nitpick, sure. But, I mean, overall, compared to some other Super Bowls, it was good. Halftime show compared to other halftime shows, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, this Super Bowl definitely overall, like we'll get into some of the prop bets and other stuff that we talked about last time, but just like from the game perspective, this was a much better game than last year's game. Honestly, like it was a very fun game to watch. I've talked about how much I hate the Rams, and I could go on and on about it, but it was a fun game to watch between big plays, between really good defense being played, between just some ballsy calls. It was very entertaining. It came down to the last play. Again, every game past the wild card was decided by one score. So that's just kind of a wild thing to think about, that through all that playoffs, that's what happened. So first off, congrats to the Rams. I hate you, but congrats to the Rams, and I hope that you guys never win another Super Bowl. Yeah, I am happy for Matt Stafford, I will say. I've never hated Matt Stafford. I just said he was getting overhyped because he was on a super team, and that team was really good.
I hate when people call it a
Cooper
super
Kupp.
team. I'm not even a Rams fan. I'm sorry. I hate when they call it a super team because every single guy they signed, when they were getting signed, everyone's like, oh, he's past his prime. He's past his prime. He's past his prime. And now they're all doing good. Like, oh, shit, it's a super team.
I mean, they followed the...
OBJ, people thought was over the hill. Matt Stafford, people thought was over the hill. Von Miller, people thought was over the hill. Like, all these big names.
I don't know about that. When they traded for Matt Stafford, people were saying he's an automatic MVP favorite. Like, people immediately said, oh, basically it was just like a few people that were saying, like, oh, maybe not. Like, that was definitely the vast minority of people. But it was as soon as the Rams got him, they went, oh, well, McVay's a genius. He'll be the best. It's like, no. Like, I think...
It's the people who said that he was overrated then that are saying they're a super team now. The people that thought he was good then just think they're good now. You know what I mean?
I think you can make the argument they have the best corner in the game, the best overall defensive player in the game, and Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the game, but that's another story.
You can make the argument. I mean, he's definitely top three.
He's good. He's very, very good.
But you could make that argument for Jalen Ramsey. You can make the argument Aaron Donald's top 2 defensive player of all time potentially. Depending on, people are making that argument. I don't think that's accurate, but I think he's definitely top 2.
Also, Jalen Ramsey's been there for quite a few years. You know.
I know, but like this team
Same
got
with
built
Cooper
that
Kupp.
way a little bit too.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp's different. When they added OBJ, he ended up playing really well, and it took him a few games to get into it. But I don't know. Like I'm just
saying that like when they got Von Miller, when they got OBJ, those guys were not at the peak getting bought for huge sums of money. You know, those were guys that were kind of down that they're willing to scoop up. You know what I mean? Like they weren't building like when KD went to the Warriors. KD was in his prime going to the Warriors. None of these guys this year that they got were like peak hot at the peak and like we're gonna pay everything for you. OBJ didn't get paid that much.
No,
I see what you're saying.
That's also because he lost the value in Bitcoin. So, but I mean, you guys are both right. They've literally followed the format of the Super Bowl team last year. They had a really good veteran quarterback come in. They went all out on guys that were like big names, Gronk, Leonard Fournette. You know, some people would say were past their prime, but played exceptionally well last year. They got to host a Super Bowl, stay at home, sleep in their own beds. And next year it's going to be the Cardinals. I mean, they got fucking Kyler Murray, and then they brought in J.J. Watt. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, just kidding. I don't think the Cardinals will do it. But, I mean,
yeah,
shit.
I mean, their job is to build a good team. You know,
Yeah.
I just wouldn't call it the
AJ
super team of
Green.
like, this is unfair, you know?
Oh, no, I don't think it was. When I say super team, I don't mean like, oh, wow, NFL rigged. Like, also, I love the whole NFL rigged Twitter. It's absolutely hilarious. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not like saying it's like in basketball when you have like 3 teams that just have all the talent and everybody else blows. Like, that's not like where I'm going and saying it's unfair. Not at all. I'm just saying like
there were like 8 teams that could
team
have legitimately won it all this year, for sure.
Yeah, like if you go guy for guy across that roster, like I've heard podcasts called like, you know, like a guy off or like whatever. Like they're like literally talking about like, all right, like give me a stud on this team, we'll give you a stud on that team, and like go back and forth. They'll out stud every other team. just because they have so many studs across their roster. And like that's their job, but almost all of it was gotten through either free agency or trades. And that's just kind of different. That's not something we've really seen work in the NFL.
They did tweet,
especially longer term, but
they did tweet the all-in GIF where they literally, it's the GIF of the guy like pushing the chips all in. Like they set it back in October. I don't think it's like a super team, but it's like to get.
I said it in
point,
preseason.
easily
I
have
said
the
in
most
preseason
studs.
that the Rams are calling their shot this year.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
getting
they're the
Stafford,
most.
they're saying this is it.
Yeah, they're the most Super
And I
Bowl or
stand
bust
by that.
team, and that's kind of like to what Kev's talking about. They're easily the most Super Bowl or bust team.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll talk about some potential retirement stuff here in a minute, but assuming nobody actually ends up retiring and whatever, like they have a lot of guys in this team that they can't afford to keep, and they also have no draft capital after this. So they had to win it this year, and that was something that was being talked about. I mean, assuming Aaron Donald doesn't retire, he's getting paid a shit ton of money. They're going to sign Stafford to a fat contract. Kupp's getting paid. Robert Woods is getting paid. If OBJ wants to stay, he's going to have to take a massive pay cut, and they already talked about that.
He said he would, which terrible handling your business, by the way, OBJ.
Agreed.
Nothing gives your team
100%.
the leverage by saying, I'll take a pay cut on national television.
Agreed. Jalen Ramsey's getting paid a ton of money. It looks like Whitworth is going to retire. That doesn't seem questioned at all.
Von Miller's at least got next year on contract.
No, Von Miller's a free agent this year.
Are you sure? I swear I saw. I could have been wrong.
I'm pretty sure he said he's going to test free agency this year, but still, there's enough guys that are getting paid that they're going to have a tough time, assuming that people don't retire, to continue to pay all their studs, and some are going to have to start leaving. I think Leonard Floyd is on a 1 or 2 year deal. He's not one of their top end guys, but he had a very, very good season and played very well for them, and was one of the key reasons they won that Super Bowl. So, there's little players like that I think I don't know, they're going to be interesting to follow because they don't have first round picks for a while. So typically how you continue this dominance is being able to have first round picks to replenish the talent that you're going to lose eventually at a cheaper price. So the fact that they don't have that is kind of worrying if you're a Rams fan. I mean, at this point you say we won a championship, that's all that matters, right? So
look at the Bucs.
If you said
the Bucs are right back to the shadow realm, dude, but it was worth it.
I mean, like Cam, you're Chiefs fans, so it's a little bit hard, but if I were to tell you 8 years ago, before Chiefs were the Chiefs, if the Chiefs were to a Super Bowl this year, but you had 8 years of shittiness, you know what I mean? Like if I would have told you you'd have been horrible for the next 8 years, but you win a Super Bowl this year, you would have taken it in a heartbeat, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
because there's no guarantee you get to watch your team win a Super Bowl while you're alive. You absolutely take that.
Exactly. So from that perspective, it worked for the Rams. I mean, we'll see kind of where they continue to go from there. I hope they fall off drastically.
What do we think?
Kind of get into why that might happen.
What do we think the home stadium crowd's going to be looking like next year? Do you think it's going to have a little bit more uptick in Rams fans now, or do you think it'll be about the same?
A little bit more, but I still think it's
LA
LA
didn't even break top 10 for markets that were watching the Super Bowl. Like Detroit, Michigan was number 2 that watched the Super Bowl in the entire country. LA didn't even break the top 10.
Yeah, but they watched that man toil for 12 years. Like, that's a big buildup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, yeah, but the whole point is it's your host. Not only are you hosting the Super Bowl, but your team is there and won it, and you're the second biggest city in the country, and you didn't crack the top 10. Like, there's so many reasons why you should have at least been top 5, and you didn't get there. Not just because LA is LA. They just don't they're in their own little world. I mean, I lived there for 4 years. I know LA just does their own thing. It's really hard to motivate all of LA to get unified in one thing, and there's way too many other things to do. They're all Laker fans, or they're Dodger fans, or they're going to the beach and surfing.
Yeah. Clipper fans,
The 7 Clipper fans can get together with the 7 Rams fans.
Football season's over now. Clippers beat the Warriors last night. I didn't even know that happened until this morning, but that was cool to see on the score chart. Honestly, we play the Suns tonight. Probably will lose that one, but hey, we're 29-30.
I do want to say before we get too far off into some hypotheticals here, which we might, I do want to talk about a little bit of the game as it went, and also congratulate the Bengals, because Bengals were really fun to root for this offseason. I know, or this whole postseason. Cam probably has a little bit different take on that, but
no, they're a good story. That's all. I'm not I'm not bitter and upset that they beat us. I mean, I hate Eli Apple, but that's everyone.
that's everybody.
I don't think there's
that's my only beef with the
wagon for that.
Bengals. Yeah, that's my only beef with the Bengals, and like the people that automatically put Joe Burrow over Pat Mahomes now. I think they're, but I'm just like whatever. Just you live in the moment, whatever.
Just let them have their emotional high right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, yeah, Joe Burrow is fun to watch. It's a fun story. They're going to be around. I don't know if they're going to make a Super Bowl again for a few more years. I mean, they can. But to say like they're a shoe-in for a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, I think is a long shot. Just because there's so many good teams in the AFC, it's going to be tough to make it back.
Let's go down hypothetical alley though. They are top 5 in cap space, meaning they have like top 5 most money to spend on free agents. I mean, obviously, it's not like they have this like slam dunk draft pick now, but I mean, I think everyone, it's clear that they're going to go O-line. You know, I'm not saying they make it back next year, but I'm just like, I don't know if the window is closed per se, although there is a lot of top-heavy teams in the AFC.
It's not closed, and I'm not saying it's closed. I'm saying just to get back, they're going to have to beat. There's a lot of really good teams that they're going to have to beat. And it's one thing to do it once when you're the underdog and no one's really expecting it. It's another thing to do it again the next year. And so we'll see. But you're right. They have a ton of cap space. They have all of their draft capital left, so they haven't given away anything. They have their best players are all on rookie contracts, so they still have, they don't have to pay them up yet. So you have T. Higgins, you have Jamar Chase, you have Joe Burrow. I think Mixon's the one that's up for a contract extension. He's the next one.
I don't know
if he hasn't already gotten his contract extension.
About the contract situation, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea to extend a running back. We've kind of seen how that goes, but I don't know if he's up for that or not.
He had a great year this year, so I think they're going to keep him.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those situations they should, but hopefully it's not a Todd Gurley like sitch,
I mean, but let's talk about the game and kind of how it went down a little bit too, because it was one of those interesting games that kind of went into like a weird defensive battle for the third quarter, but it started off kind of how I expected, where the Rams took an early lead and then started to gradually kind of choke and blow it away. And then the Bengals just didn't fully capitalize on it. I mean, in that second half, obviously they missed the PI. That was a huge play. And T. Higgins grabbed Jalen Ramsey's face mask. I really liked that the refs weren't calling anything most of the game. I'm a big fan of that. We'll get to the end of the game. But for most of the game, they were pretty much staying out of it. And
it was tight to see.
Which is great. Stafford had his 2 picks, one of which wasn't really his fault, but kind of was, the tip ball. But, at that situation, that second pick, the Bengals didn't capitalize on that. I think they score a touchdown that drive. I think that game starts getting really out of hand really quickly. And that's where the issue is for the Bengals, is they didn't capitalize on it. They had that Super Bowl ready to win, and they just didn't finish.
Yeah, I mean, you even see the last play. I mean, it's been going around. Jalen Ramsey's on the floor again. Jamar Chase had it. But Aaron Donald just got there too quick. It's not like it's like Joe Burrow's fault. He literally didn't have enough time to hit him. But, I mean, it could have been a walk-off touchdown for the Bengals. And, I mean, how exciting would that have been?
Yeah, I mean that game came down to exactly what we said. Are the Bengals O-line going to be able? Is the Bengals O-line going to be able to block the Rams D-line and Aaron Donald? The answer to that in the second half was no.
Absolutely not.
And he just got bludgeoned.
It was. I mean that the end of the game, man. It was good. I mean, I know we weren't really rooting for the Rams, but I mean, for what it was, just to see, it was like, here comes the signature Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp drive. Like, they're on their own 30. There it is. Sean McVay not being a coward, going for it, like calling his shot, giving it to his best player, getting the conversion, it goes all the way down. Cooper Kupp touchdown, steals the Super Bowl MVP, which, I mean, that was the story as well. And then you got the following back, and then Aaron Donald just comes in and ices it with the back-to-back sacks on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. It just, I mean, if you're like, for the Rams, I'm like, that's how you want to end the fucking Super Bowl right there, is exactly like that on those guys' backs. And it was, for that regard, it was cool. I liked that.
Yeah, I mean, the craziest part to me about kind of the ending of that whole drive was how we just talked about Joe Mixon, who I just looked up his salary. This year he made $5 million, and he's under contract till 2024. He'll be making $8 million next year, and then $9 million 2023 and 2024.
That's a pretty good
Joe
contract.
Mixon's a top 5 running back in football, and he wasn't on the field during that drive. And that doesn't make sense to me. And you handed the ball off. Like, how do you not have one of the best running backs in football on the field. Even
I
if
think
you think
that's-
he's washed, you don't want to resign, whatever. Like, he's better than Samaje Perine. That's not a hot take in any way, shape, or form. And he's a better
No.
receiver than Samaje Perine.
It's
And the
just
fact that he's not in the game is bizarre to me. Makes
This
absolutely
isn't-
no sense.
it's hard. It's like that stupid. What I think it is it's that stupid fucking coaching trend that's been going on. That's like hasn't been working out for coaches at all. So I want it to end. But it's like we know who we are kind of thing. And like clearly, I mean, Samaji's been there, been there on third down all the time. Like that's their third down package. So like we got to go with our package because it's third down and this is what we've done. Although it's like. Because it's not like Zach Taylor was sitting there like, oh, I'm going to put in Joe Mixon. Oh, just kidding. Let's put in Samaji. Like, and I think like part of the deal is like because they have Samaji and it's going to like signal to the Rams like Joe Burrow's going to pass it. And obviously they didn't. And it's 1 yard. It was, to your point, it's idiotic, but this is just the trend that coaches have been doing and it's annoying. And it's like stick to the package and, this is the package and this is what we've done. And
I mean,
it's
my
not
thing is
working.
When Joe Mixon's in there, it's also could be a pass play. He's a very good receiver. It's not like he can't receive out of the backfield. So like it's not like we put Derrick Henry in there so like they know we're gonna run the ball. It's like no, like I don't know, like no, like Mixon can run the ball and he can catch. So like either way you go, he's a better option. It's one thing when you're spelling him throughout the course of a game, but this is the end of the season. There's no more spelling anybody. Like this is his time, right? And then on fourth down, like this is another weird thing, right? Obviously Donald just killed his guy and got to Burrow quick, and then Burrow's getting kind of spun down, and he just hucks the ball in the air. Actually got it pretty fucking close to Samaje Perine, and then he didn't dive for it. He kind of just like let it fall. I don't know how close it was. It was hard to see from that angle, but I'm like, that kind of seems like he could have given a little bit more effort for it, considering that's the Super Bowl. And what if Joe Mixon was in there? What would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Is he just a half a step quicker and is able to get there? I mean,
it's going to haunt Bengal fans forever.
That's tough. That's
It
so
is,
tough,
and it's like
man.
because it's annoying. Like you should feel like you got a coach because it's also they were not putting Mixon in on third downs to preserve him for health, and it's like, bro, this is like the final drive of like the Super Bowl. Like this is like screw what you've been doing all year. This is when you use Joe Mixon in that situation. It's just it's poor decision making. But I mean I think that's the logic. I don't know. I'm not Zach Taylor. I just am like that's what I assume it has to have been because I'm like nothing else makes sense because it's like there's no way he was like let's get Samaji in there over Joe. Sorry, Joe.
Totally. I mean,
But that could be giving him too much benefit of the doubt.
To finish up on the Bengals really quick too. I mean, obviously great year, and it's like it sucks to have to harp on them like this because they did have a really good year and they were a fun team to watch, and like they really shouldn't have even been there for all intents and purposes, and they got there and were this close to winning it all, right?
Yeah.
And if they win it all, it didn't matter if they should have been there or not, right? But now you just get into the little nitpicky things. And at the beginning of the year, both you and me said the same thing when they drafted Jamar Chase. Right after the draft, he went, and this is what everybody else said. It wasn't even bust. It was who's going to block for Burrow.
Well,
And for most of the year, and
No
most
one
of the
did.
Super Bowl, it didn't matter, right? And then all of a sudden, the last half of the Super Bowl is when it mattered. And that's just kind of a wild. I mean, if you're a Bengal fan, you're very happy you have Jamar Chase, right? This is not like, they fucked up drafting him because he's half the reason they're there. But this is what everybody was talking about might happen.
You have money in the offseason.
The second half of Super Bowl.
You have money. Go spend it. It's very clear what you need to spend it on. Joe Burrow is also, he hurt his knee again. He's going through surgery because of that hit during the game, which I thought it was going to knock him out for the game, which was sad to see. It was cool to see him back. But I think he was only back because it was the Super Bowl. I feel like if it was any other game, that he would have been out for the rest of the game. But
No, Joe Burrow won't need surgery for it.
really, I heard he was going to undergo surgery and do some like rehab on it.
4 hours ago, yeah. Won't need surgery. Shouldn't affect his off-season training plan.
Good.
Well, that's good.
I mean, that's objectively a good thing. That's just not. But when
That
both
is a
him
good
and
thing,
Stafford,
which means, that means they're gonna have a good full off-season of Joe Burrow training and a third-year quarterback, right? Which should be better than a second-year quarterback.
yeah,
I mean, he's gonna be coming in hot next year.
yeah, because he was rehabbing from his ACL offseason this year too. So like,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah,
part
that's
of
what
it.
I'm
Now
saying.
you actually get a real offseason would be great. The one thing is that who did get hurt was OBJ, and he did. It looks like he tore his ACLs. That everybody's saying. I don't know if it's confirmed, but it looks pretty obvious he did. That's another thing with contract stuff where if he might, that's a 12-month injury potentially. He may not be back until the playoffs. So are they really going to be willing to spend all that money on him or any money at all. I mean, maybe if he just signs for kind of dirt cheap and they stash him on the IR the whole season, that's still a lot of money to pay somebody a full year to not even suit up. And he may not even, if you don't get there, may not even get a chance to suit up. So that'll be a weird scenario too.
How do you think Browns fans are doing too? I mean, everyone's been talking about the Lions fans because of Stafford, but let's not forget OBJ was an asshole and like forced his way out in a very douchey way. How do you think Browns fans are doing seeing him still win a ring despite the injury?
Yeah, no, I definitely.
I don't think that they're cheering for him specifically.
I hope not, because like it's been a whole narrative. Everyone's like, he's been playing better, so everyone's like, see, he's playing better, like blah blah blah. It was Baker's fault, blah blah blah. I'm like, whatever. It doesn't make me want to root for him. He still was a dick. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a
random OBJ
fan.
slander.
I'm just not an OBJ fan. The way he left, it wasn't just like, oh, you're being oppressed by the owner. No, it was like you're just being a dick. Like he was just kind of being a dick. Like there's a lot of good people around him that were also going through a tough time, and maybe he was being unfairly treated, but I don't think he really was. He didn't look like he was. He was getting fed the ball more than he probably should have been. Baker was just broken, and that's kind of what drove him out. But now he has a ring, right? I mean, in a way, it sends a message to players of, if you really are unhappy, complain and bet on yourself.
I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more of that in the NFL because I mean, it's going to start right now. I think I don't want to make a story.
Dude, it started.
Out of this,
that's exactly how Jalen Ramsey got there. Remember?
I know.
His unceremonious exit from the Jaguars. He had to be physically separated from their coach in the locker room.
I'm just. I didn't want to make a story out of it.
This is a pattern that's been happening. It's just we notice it now because the team that got these guys won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so now you see Kyler now. Dude, I hate it, but it's because I didn't want to make a story out of it. But there's just a lot coming out where it's like Kyler is frustrated because Kyler thinks that he's being scapegoated for the loss. Which, are you a scapegoat if you're the reason for the loss? I don't know, but. And then people from the Cardinals organization are like, well, he's immature and he's a finger pointer, and we've already tried to talk to him about his sideline attitude. And it's just like, whew, this could, benefit for you. I mean, fuck the Cardinals, but I really was like, I refuse to make this whole like Instagram scrub a story because it's a non-story, but I'm like, oh, stuff's coming out and it's looking like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when it's all said and done, I feel like nothing really gonna end up happening. It's just gonna be this drama. It's just gonna be like Russell Wilson with the Seahawks,
he's gonna get 40
created all this stuff, and then he's just gonna stay there. But it is a weird thing, and it's something that both you and me have talked about. And don't get me wrong, we're both absolutely brilliant and smartest football people ever, but we're also idiots. And the fact that we even noticed the fact that he was pouting every single game was something to be talked about. If we noticed it, how many other people are noticing it? His teammates are definitely noticing it. I mean, every time he started to get hit and get down the game, his body language went down the tubes. He started limping a little bit and all these other things. That's not what you want as a franchise quarterback. That's not. That's a horrible attitude. You never see Matt Stafford, who just won a Super Bowl. He was never doing that. Joe Burrow was never doing that. Pat Mahomes never does that. Russell Wilson never does that too while he's on the field, at least. Yeah, he had some off the field stuff, but on the field he's always a leader.
Let's throw it out there. Josh Allen's doing that stuff. You see him hyping his boys. Yeah.
I mean, go through
even Trevor Lawrence
with all the offseason stuff that was happening. He wasn't doing that.
I was gonna say even Trevor
Ryan
Lawrence
Tannehill's not doing that. Let's go. Go through every. Derek Carr's not doing that. Go through every playoff quarterback. None of them are doing it.
Not even the playoffs, dude. Trevor Lawrence was in the worst situation out of everyone, and even he was like, "Come on, guys!" Like he was being good. I mean, and that's a rookie. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I don't know about this Kyler Murray fella.
Yeah, I mean, I have a vendetta against him because he should have played for the A's, and I would have been just happier as a person. My A's would have been playing better, and the Cardinals would have sucked.
But what if he brought this attitude to the A's?
Yeah, you'd rather have a crybaby on your team?
Yeah, he'd still be the same guy.
But it's baseball, so it's a little bit more, individual.
Crybaby
it's a longer
accepting.
season, all that kind of stuff. Like it's
softer
a
sport,
different of a
softer sport overall.
Yeah, you don't have the physical beating that you do in football, so like maybe his spirits would be a little bit higher.
But he'd be playing at the Oakland Coliseum. That's kind of a down. That's a bummer.
Oh, no, I love the Coliseum, but that's a different conversation. Coliseum's all-time venue, but
oh my gosh.
at least for baseball specifically, not for football. Yeah, I mean that Kyler Murray story is weird. We'll see what actually ends up happening. My guess is it's a nothing burger. But I also said that about Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's still probably just given contracts. I still feel like Kyler Murray will end up being a nothing burger. But like to your point, it won't just be a nothing. Like it'll be like we'll hear about it. It'll be some drama. It'll probably have some headlines in the offseason, and then it'll end with Kyler Murray getting an extension and him just like shutting up.
Yeah, I mean, I said Urban Meyer when he first got caught with the chick at the bar. I was like, oh, it's going to be a nothing burger. They'll sweep it under the rug. I was definitely wrong, but I was also more wrong because more things kept happening over and over again. So I just didn't realize that was just like the tip of the iceberg. So
did you see the restaurant's not called Urban's anymore?
Oh no, that's
it's like up for sale. Like the investment group behind it is like we're putting it up for sale or something like, or some investment group bought it. I don't know. But point being is it's being completely rebranded. Like it's not called Urban's anymore. Like the whole because like it started bringing negative PR to the restaurant and like it was taking.
I don't know. I would lean into it. I feel like if you leaned into it more, you'd get more PR. Like if you just like leaned into the whole fact of like, yeah, this is where Urban was a moron. Like
it was on this bar stool.
Tourist attractions. Like I don't know. Like I feel like
this was the bar stool.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Sign it, Urban. Sign the bar stool.
Trying to cover it up typically doesn't work well. When you lean into it, you typically come out better on the other end when you're the person that did nothing wrong, which that bar did nothing wrong.
I'd say we'll see what happens, but at the end of the day, this is probably the last we're going to hear about Urban's chap ass on all fronts.
Probably.
TC3, yeah, you got something to say? You got something?
No, I'm just curious to see where Urban Meyer winds up next season.
On the couch.
Probably. I think he'll take at least a year off.
I'm still pulling for Alabama offensive analyst.
I mean, that's
somewhat
likely. I'm sure.
I can see some like
favorite to go there.
I can see some like under. I
don't think it'll happen, but I would just love for it to happen because I've been joking about it for so long.
I can see some semi-competitive, but like not really respected D1 program picking him up. And just being like, let's just see if this gets us over the hump, you know? Like we're there.
It's like Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vandy, but I realized I don't know much. I was gonna say I don't know much about college football, but I was gonna say Vandy because I felt like that'd be a good one, but I didn't know.
Like, I don't know. They're SEC though, so you probably wouldn't do that. But still, let's get back to Super Bowl. Wild Super Bowl. That's it's one for the books. We had prop bets that we talked about, kind of unrelated to the game. That I thought were just kind of fun. We're talking about, you mentioned the halftime show earlier. First prop bet that we talked about at the halftime show was that this first song was going to be you had California Love Cam, and me, Tyler the Gambler, and TC3 had Lose Yourself. All of us are wrong.
Wait though, can you check? 'Cause we filled out. We talked about Vegas telling me I was wrong. I'm just saying. The only money I put down on the game was with our little bracket pool, and I do think I put Next Episode as first song on that. I can't find my thing though, so I don't know if
that's cool. We're going on the record on the podcast.
But the money I put down, which I didn't win back because I still didn't get every single prop bet right, but I think I got at least a check mark there.
I got Cam down for Cali Love.
Oh, I think I doubled down. Well, you're showing
notes.
Oh, I thought that was Kevin's notes. Anyway, I was on a record somewhere.
I overall, and then the other one we talked about was Snoop Dogg's shoes. They were white with a yellow shoelaces, so white is the color of the shoes. I said white or black, and went black, so I was still wrong. So that's a bummer.
I went yellow, and I made a joke because we were like, it has to be the clear color of the shoe, not like a stripe. And I literally was like, but he has like yellow laces, so like, and I actually turned out having that, and I was like, lol.
Wow. Cam is way more into hip hop than either Thomas or I. But
I mean, out of the three of us, I'm the one who's got some rap songs on SoundCloud. So I mean, I'm like, I got to be the resident expert, right?
But I mean, I didn't think it was a bad halftime show. I mean, also like high school me, like Eminem was like, I mean, like whatever, every other white guy in high school, I guess. But at the time, like that was like your thing. And I know TC3 and I had
not my
Eminem
thing.
Together.
There's no shame in being a high school kid that loves Eminem.
I loved Eminem in high school, but I was never like an Eminem guy. Like I was low key a little bit of a Dr. Dre guy. In high school, I was a Kendrick Lamar. Definitely a Wiz Khalifa guy in high school.
You're a Dr. Dre guy. That's a weird guy to be a guy of, I've got to say.
Yeah.
He was iconic.
That's just...
I don't know.
He was iconic. He put out like one album at that point.
When we were in high school, he had The Chronic and 200001. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
he's more of the
he had
two iconic.
He's more of the producer mogul, though. Like, if you're a Dr. Dre guy, you don't admire him just because of his stuff. Like, you admire him.
If you're a Dr. Dre guy, you're listening to Eminem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I listen to Eminem.
You're admiring Dr. Dre because of
it.
what he's been to rap, not just for his individual songs. Like, it's more of his contribution to the field as a whole, which is massive.
His production, yeah.
Yeah. And it's rap's kind of like a pyramid scheme anyway. I mean, Dr. Dre brought up all those guys. Jay-Z had Kanye and Rihanna, and then Kanye got Kid Cudi and Big Sean. I mean, it's all pyramid scheme, and it all goes up, back to the top. Just saying.
Well, and then you sell your headphones for $300 million.
Yeah.
Exactly. The one thing I have to say about the halftime show that was really weird was that they just didn't advertise that 50 Cent was going to be there, and then he was. And then
that they always try to do some sort of surprise. They always try to do a surprise. I was hyped.
But it was weird that they brought him in before they brought in half of the artists that were supposed to be there. I thought that was just kind of odd. I don't know.
I think that was the shock value.
And then Kendrick didn't do Humble, which is bizarre because Humble's one of the best-selling rap songs ever. How do you not play that one? That was weird. I don't know. That was just.
I mean, by that logic, Eminem should have done 12 songs.
I know, but the fact that he got one song and he didn't pick his most
popular song. He got Backstreet Freestyle and All Right, which were two popular ones.
They kind of.
But they did a half. I mean, it was everyone. They did half the song.
Yeah, and
they did a little medley.
Yeah,
they all kind of did. I didn't know anything with Mary J. Blige, so I had no idea what was going on there. But
I knew Family Affair. That one was an iconic one. But I think that's
about it.
See, Cam's our rap guy.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. My girlfriend pointed out, because the whole set was a house. So that means half the stadium couldn't see what was going on. Because they were behind everything.
I thought that the entire time too. If you're on the side that couldn't see 50 Cent drop down and the other half goes nuts, you're like, what?
You're looking at the fucking, the Jumbotron the whole time.
100%. That's what I was thinking. It also looked there's half of me that was is this green screen? Remember when the Cowboys for a few years on Thanksgiving had their halftime show or whatever, and it was not happening at the same time, and people at the game are there's no show happening right now when it's on TV, and then they were they pre-filmed it and green screened the back. It almost looked like that. I knew it wasn't because it would have been too big of a deal for Super Bowl halftime show, but it looked green screened. The way that the audience behind him looked. I don't know if it was just the lighting of the Jumbotron, but I was well, how hilarious would that be? As if they pre-filmed this just for whatever reason.
Speaking of something crazy. That, I was happy to see that it at least sounded like they were doing it live. It didn't sound like it was a lip sync. No, I was pleased with that. I mean, the production quality goes down. I mean, it's rap music, it sounds better in headphones. But I was happy that they still did it live.
Yeah,
live.
I mean, I think overall they did a really good job for a halftime show. And I was saying before we got on, I don't really remember the last halftime show I was oh wow, that was awesome. There've been a couple that are oh, that was interesting. Oh, they did.
Gaga, I think cool. Gaga's was good. Katy Perry's was good. But I mean, now we're going back 8 years.
Yeah,
I thought J-Lo and Shakira were good. The Weeknd was kind of bad. I thought they were fine,
but that was my thing. It was they were fine, but I don't remember being blown away by a halftime show in a very long time.
The problem is the bar is just so high. Oh my god, these five all-star artists. You expect a lot, but you can't do that much in the 15 minutes or 20 minutes they have.
Yeah, I was bummed how short it was, but I was I get it. But I was damn. It would have been cool if everyone else got another half song. I would have been super thrilled.
That's what I was expecting. Was another half a song each. I felt I got taken 5 minutes away from.
I was if 50 5 minutes off it. If 50 got some PIMP on there, Eminem got some Rap God, Kendrick was able to add in some Humble, and then Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre did nothing but a G thing. I'm oh, that would have been cool, but you can't please everyone, I guess.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it was it was good. I'm not dissing the show, but if, and I said this earlier too, if you were outside the ages of 25 to 40 ish, then you were bored stiff by that halftime show because you probably never listened to any of these people's songs, because that was literally a millennial song only, not even Gen Z, not any of the Zoomer stuff, not even older than that. It was very 15-year group of people that grew up where this was the music they listened to. like there was not really other appeal than that, because like if you're older than that, you haven't listened to any of these artists. If you're younger than that, there's no way you would have heard of any of the stuff that was, the older generation.
I got more faith for the younger generation knowing about Eminem and like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and 50 Cent.
Kendrick Lamar is the only one that's kind of the closer. He's that bridge, but even then, like he's still definitely more, like we're the youngest people that kind of group. I think that would have been able to kind of relate to that.
Yeah.
This was like our Super Bowl halftime show that said, "You're middle aged now. You're old." Like,
yeah.
You are not the young, exciting demographic anymore.
Yeah,
that's true.
So that's fun.
Yeah, which just a weird thing to think about.
I got faith for the younger generation. I mean, still, I'm out here. We listen to the Eagles. We listen to stuff that our parents grew up listening to. I mean, who's to say that our little kiddos aren't listening to what we grew up to? Yeah. I got a sliver of hope for the youngins.
Yeah,
Lose Yourself is going to be on that carpool playlist for sure. The clean version.
Yeah.
Mom
The
spaghetti.
linguistic gymnastics going on was pretty.
That was pretty
epic.
funny.
Oh,
even Dr. Dre said afterwards, he's like, "Yeah, that was what the NFL cared the most about, was what we were saying," and so we had to be really careful about it. So it's just kind of funny.
For the next episode, me and my friend Ian literally went nuts because we knew it was coming up, and they go, "Motherfuckers!" We're like waiting for it. Like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? And he goes, "Little Busters," and we just look at each other and go, "Little Busters!" Like it was almost like we made a bet on it. We just got so hyped. We're like, "Let's go!"
That's so funny.
That was their best gymnastics they did. That was like they landed it. They did the triple backflip, landed it perfectly, 10s across the board for Little Busters.
Yeah, it was a halftime show. Good for them. Anything else in the Super Bowl before we move on to kind of the last couple topics that are tangentially related? By that I mean potential retirements.
Congrats, Matt Stafford, on getting into the Hall of Fame.
Congrats, Cooper Kupp, for the.
I know people are like,
season,
"Cool it, we don't need to get
arguably.
ahead of."
That's mine. Just congrats to Cooper Kupp for arguably the best wide receiver season.
I think inarguably they showed some stats, and
I think it's inarguable, but I know that there's people out there that would argue it. But
I don't know who you'd argue against.
2,500 yards, Triple Crown, Super Bowl MVP. I don't know what more you could accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, when you include the playoffs,
receiver.
it's hard. It's hard because of the 17-game season. But if you include the playoffs, it's definitely one of the most dominant that we'll ever see. And I can't remember every single season, but I mean, I'm thinking the only one I can think of is the Randy Moss, I think 2007 Patriots, whatever that was, where Brady threw for 60 touchdowns, whatever absurd number he threw for, and Moss had just one of the most insane years ever. He just didn't win the Super Bowl, so people don't talk about it. He had more touchdowns, but he didn't have as many yards.
Did he have a Triple Crown? I know it's
season.
possible. I know Cooper Kupp wasn't the first Triple Crown. By the way, listeners, Triple Crown.
Well, he's not the first Triple Crown, but him and Jerry Rice are the only people only receivers to have won a Triple Crown in a season, and then also win Super Bowl MVP. However, Jerry Rice did not do it the same year that he won the Triple Crown. So Cooper Kupp's only one to do it all in the same season.
Which is why I think it has to be definitively the best. By the way, listeners, if you don't know, a Triple Crown, he led the league in touchdowns, receptions, and yards.
Yeah, I'm going to look up
which is
Randy
insane.
Moss.
Which is insane.
Yeah. So Randy Moss in 2007 had 23 touchdowns, 23 receiving touchdowns, and 1,493 yards on 98 catches. So he just had less volume of catches, but he also had a much higher touchdown percentage.
Oh, well, we've seen the iconic 3 catches, 187 yards, 3 touchdowns Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, and he won Offensive Player of the Year that year as well. But
makes sense.
Yeah, he.
Oh yeah, and Cooper Kupp won Offensive Player of the Year, which I mean, what more could he have done was just win MVP, which is kind of hard to do. But he won Offensive Player of the Year. It's like, which I'm happy they did. I'm really happy that he won that.
And actually, I'm going to take that back. He didn't win Offensive Player of the Year. This is kind of when they had the old school Offensive Player of the Year stuff. Tom Brady won MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. Randy Moss got second in Offensive Player of the Year. Wes Welker was fourth.
Jesus,
so they had 3 Patriots at the top 4.
That was literally such an insane year.
Yeah, that year was absolutely insane. That was one of those. What did Brady end up having that year? Yeah, he had 50 touchdowns, 8 picks, almost 5,000 yards, and that was in 16 games. But
Matthew Stafford, first quarterback ever, 6,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. I mean, it includes postseason, but first ever to do 6,050.
And then come back to Cooper Kupp. Like he had just a much bigger yardage year, and it was just one of those where he was basically the Rams' whole offense that whole year. You're right, Cam. It's one of the best seasons we'll ever see, if not the best. And he didn't come out of nowhere because he was still a good receiver, but I don't think anybody expected this jump.
I mean, I'd call Eastern Washington nowhere, so he came out of nowhere.
Last year, he was a decent receiver.
That's a hometown hero.
Like he didn't go from like no one knew who he was to Super Bowl MVP. Like he was a solid receiver the past few years. Like
no, he was a great receiver, but he was like a 5th, 6th rounder in like everyone's fantasy league this year.
Yeah.
No. He's a great receiver, but no one expected him to have the most dominant single season stats ever.
You ready for a fleece? So
now we are for next year. You know.
You ready for this fleece, Thomas? Last year in a dynasty league, I traded away Zach Moss for Cooper Kupp on a 4-year contract each. If you don't know who Zach Moss is, exactly. I got Cooper Kupp, bro. Had him all year.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously good for a dynasty league. Anybody who's able to get Cooper Kupp is very
like I said, it was a fleece. Sometimes you just got to flex your like absolute steals.
Other things about the Super Bowl, obviously TC3 brought up last week. Do we think Stafford's a Hall of Famer who won the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It's been a topic of conversation around. I think when it's all said and done, if he ends up playing for another 4 or 5 years, he's probably end up being a Hall of Famer. It's hard to argue with the amount, with his stats and his now that he has a Super Bowl as well as a quarterback, it gets really hard to take him away. I mean, the only other ones that I could think of that wouldn't be in that line are like a Joe Flacco, Trent Dilfer, where they just didn't have the career stats to back it up.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Cam, I just wanted to bring this up because you mentioned it last week that you call him, what was it, fourth quarter staffer, or what was the garbage time stuff?
Padford.
Stat Padford.
He has led 34 fourth quarter comebacks.
I know, I was talking to my buddy about
most of which are with the Lions.
Yeah, of course.
And I just want to say that's insane that he is a 4-quarter quarterback.
I was talking to my friend about that because I was like, how do you think, because it was our other friend Nick, I was like, who's a Lions fan, who was like, talks shit on Matthew Stafford all the time. I was like, how do you think Nick's feeling right now that his boy is in the Super Bowl? He goes, well, I think he's a Rams fan now, so I think he's it's becoming, I guess I didn't talk to him about it. I guess it's a joke because he's like, I can't fucking escape this guy for whatever reason, hates Matthew Stafford. This year was I'm going to be a Rams fan because I'm from LA, fuck the Lions. And then the Matthew Stafford thing happened. He's like, God damn it. I was checking on him.
Stafford's historical rankings, this was 2 years ago, he was up there with quite a bit. So I think it was looking at his 11 seasons at the time, looking at people through age 31. He is second only to Peyton Manning in passing yards at age 31, third to Manning and Marino passing touchdowns, first in completions, first in attempts, which attempts, it's a weird stat, but whatever. But he was 17th in interceptions, 6th in sacks, first in pick sixes, not a category you want to lead.
Let's go.
But again, he had the most game-winning drives at 34, and this was February 2020 when this article was written. Just keep that in mind. And then 28 fourth-quarter comebacks, the most at age 32. So from that perspective, he does have a lot of stats to go to his name. It's only gone up over the past couple of years, and now he has a Super Bowl. If he plays another few years, he'll get there. He'll end up being top 10 probably in passing yardage or potentially passing touchdowns, in completions more than likely, especially if he ends up staying on a good team.
And not even a good team, but at least an average team. Because we forget, he was on literally the worst team in the NFL for pretty much his entire career.
They did make some playoffs.
Safe to say.
They did make the playoffs a couple times.
Primarily because of him and Megatron, but primarily because of him.
Oh, yeah.
I think you put him on any team with a half-competent wide receiver core and offensive line, he's going to put up some above-average stats compared to the first half of his career.
We saw it.
Before
the Super Bowl.
Before the season.
Yeah, we saw it. He did it this year.
We just saw that.
Point proven.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, before this season, he was 17th on passing touchdowns all time. So he had passed Joe Montana already. So that's another thing to think about.
One of the best names in football, though, right there. Joe Montana.
Yep.
Just sounds like a quarterback.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Wish I knew who that guy was. But one other thing we want to talk about real quick.
Sorry, did you say he was, what was he, 17th?
Yeah, he was 17th.
Before this
17th
year.
in pass touchdowns. He was already all-time.
And he jumped, as of right now, he's 12th.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's a lot
jump.
There's a lot that get clumped around there.
There's a pretty good jump there.
Yeah, there's a lot to get clumped as you get to the top of that list. But one thing we want to talk about real quick before we get too far out is the Super Bowl is the couple rumors that were swirling with Aaron Donald and Sean McVay. I don't have a ton to say other than it would be wild if Sean McVay decided to take a few years back and end up going into broadcasting because he won a Super Bowl and he just like is too stressed out by coaching like that.
I mean, it's like one of those things where I'm like, I don't feel like I see it, but like, it's just, I heard it for the first time after the Super Bowl. Like, it wasn't even before the, like, I heard about both of these guys maybe retiring after the game ended and they won. So I'm like, I don't really know what to make of it. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I guess we'll see. I didn't really know that was on the table for either of them until now they won. And I'm like, I can see how that'd make you want to keep going. I guess I can also see how they're like, yeah, fuck it. I've done everything I wanted to do. Like, I don't know. Well, I genuinely just have no opinion. Like, it came out of nowhere to me.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't hear about it until, literal.
Like Aaron Donald got asked about
before
it.
the Super Bowl, someone said something about it to me, and I was like, "Uh-oh!" Like I didn't realize that was a thing. And apparently it is. We'll see what happens there. I think I would love to see the Rams scrambling. McVay tried to choke that Super Bowl away, and he tried to choke the NFC Championship game away for all intents and purposes. Like I don't know. Like obviously,
but you're cool with Aaron Donald retiring.
Like he tried to. I would love to see Aaron Donald retire. It's for his mental health at this point. He should just retire right off the sunset. It's about him. Make him happy. It's not about me not wanting to play him twice a year. It's really about him and players' health and safety. That's all that matters.
How selfless of you.
Just let Aaron Donald ride off into the sunset.
Very selfless.
Yeah, that's just, you know me. That's the kind of guy I am. Just looking out for the people.
No ulterior motives. No personal gain.
I would never do that.
All charity. Nice.
But yeah, those are kind of the weird retirement rumors that were circling. It looks like Andrew Whitworth will retire, but
I figured so. They rushed his Walter Payton Man of the Year patch, and they usually just wait till the next year. But because he was like playing, they like made a whole rush to get it on for the game. So I was like, he better retire. He made these people work double time.
Also, quick update: Matt Stafford is currently 12th on all-time passing yards. And I think he's 12th on passing touchdowns all time. So he is already very close to top 10. Probably will get top 10 by the end of this, in 2 years at least.
How many does he have passing touchdowns? How many does number 10 have? And who is number 10?
He's at 323. Fran Tarkington's at 342. Eli Manning's at 10 at 366. So he'll probably take 2 more years to get to that.
I see. Well, he can definitely get to number 11 by the end of next year.
Yeah, so he that's what I'm saying. He plays a couple more years. He's definitely in there. He's about Rodgers will, if he plays one more year, he's 12th right now. Rodgers is 10. He's about 6,000 behind Rodgers. So depending if Rodgers actually retires or not, which is we'll talk about next coming weeks here, he could end up being there. He's about
NFL honors
behind Eli Manning.
We can talk about.
He's probably got.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he's got about 2 more years. He's got about 2 more years before he's in the top 10 for both passing yards and touchdowns.
Gotcha.
Potentially 3 years if he gets hurt or something like that. So if he ends up playing 4 or 5 good years, he's going to be pretty solidified as one of the best passing quarterbacks we've seen, and he'll have a Super Bowl championship to his name. So
NFL honors. Aaron Rodgers, MVP.
Yeah.
How dumb are the Packers? Dude, straight up, how dumb? Like, they gambled and they just straight lost. Like, they traded up for a quarterback, and then their current quarterback just went on to win back-to-back MVPs.
That's kind of one of the most wild stories ever to think about. Like, I mean, winning back-to-back MVPs, not just – and you were back-to-back 1 seeds after that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're back-to-back 1 seeds with the back-to-back MVP. the year after you drafted a quarterback in the first round, and that first round quarterback only played one game because your starting quarterback had COVID and he sucked, and the team sucked around him. Well, the team carried him to a 10-point game, whatever, 13-10 against the Chiefs, and he lost and he did not look good. And then the Packers are now saying they're willing to pay him whatever he wants, basically.
$45 million or whatever, yeah.
Which I don't think is the issue. I think at that point, I mean, we can get into that later, but I don't think that money's the issue at that point. I think it's a different thing. But I mean, Cooper Kupp got Offensive Player of the Year. TJ Watt got Defensive Player of the Year. Exactly what we thought. One thing I did think was wild was Joe Burrow getting Comeback Player of the Year because it was voted on before the playoffs. So
and it should have been Dak.
I mean, the thing that was wild is that Nick
Dak
Bosa
got
didn't
second.
get a single vote.
I'll say Dak was second in voting.
Yeah, I don't understand how Debo didn't get a single vote for Offensive Player of the Year. Considering what he did for the Niners was insane, and he had a very good year, one of the better receiver years too. And then Bosa didn't get a vote for Comeback Player of the Year. He came off a torn ACL and was one of the best defensive players in football too.
15 and a half.
So just kind of weird, but whatever.
Yeah. Mike Vrabel got Coach of the Year. Good for him.
Yeah. It's going to be a weird time for us going into the offseason, but we definitely have plenty of storylines for the next couple of weeks to talk about. And then we'll start getting into draft stuff, and that'll
more
be fun.
storylines will start too. This is the offseason. This is when these coming weeks.
Trades.
Yeah, there's gonna be. Well, I mean, free agency. I don't know about trades. When do trades? I know free agency isn't exactly a month, or maybe like exactly.
Free agency season. Free agency is in a month. So until then, there could be some trades beforehand, and there could be
so
some
they can
trades
still
after.
trade.
I think after the Super Bowl's over, they can start doing some trades. I think because they're still in a contract. I think, but maybe not. There could be one of those things where it's like that. This is going to happen, but it doesn't process until after the league year.
Yeah,
you know. So it's like a handshake deal. That's my understanding of it, but honestly,
roster moves. Let's just say roster moves.
Yeah, but free agents aren't going to get signed or anything like that. The league year doesn't end until March, mid-March, so that's when all the big stuff will happen. But plenty of storylines until then. So for those of you who sticked with us for the whole season, thank you. We've had a really good time. It's been a lot of fun.
We love you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
been a good time. Can't wait to have another off season, or have this whole off season, then have another season next year, bigger and better. Hopefully,
stop us.
I'm starting my off season storyline tracker, and it's just gonna go, and I'll keep taking notes as it goes on. If we get resolutions. If not, is this juicy going into next year? We'll see. I don't know. I mean, we already got one big one. Aaron Rodgers is kicking us off, but we're not gonna start now. I mean, that's got to be the biggest offseason storyline as of February 15th.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But
we'll see.
We'll see.
Hopefully I'm sure it'll be different as of February 21st.
Yep.
Oh, it's possible.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the season.
Peace.